Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's your man Got Dots. We are back. Hey, I apologize for my lateness. I was on a phone call I could not get off of. Business and family come first, but it's yeah, I was on a phone call that I could not get off of. And how you doing, Dr. Nikki Spottom? I see you here, Miss Merv. How you doing? Yeah, yeah, I was right before the show, get one of them phone calls you just cannot get off of, and it was very important that I be on that phone call. I'm not going to go into much detail. Yeah, you have survived. Yeah, I'm alive and kicking, Spottom. Uh, thank y'all for taking the time. The corporate call, corporate. Nah, it was some personal stuff, but yeah, we here, man. Had one of them weekends, a lot of stuff going on. Just been trying to navigate those waters and all that, but we are here. We are here, mainly just to talk about. Matter of fact, I need to get my clip back up. Like I said, there was a lot going on, Bring this back over here real quick. Yeah. All right. So, I don't know how many of y'all had a chance to watch the NCAA championship, men and women's. Congratulations to the South Carolina Gamecocks for taking care of business, completing the perfect season, and congratulations to UConn for being back to back, first time since the Florida Gators have done it. Kudos to both of those teams. It was a lot to kind of normally I don't focus too much on college basketball. It was a lot of storylines that kind of came out of this past weekend's Final Four championship games and whatnot. And one of those conversations that kind of came up, shout out to Don Staley. Yes, congratulations to South Carolina for taking care of business. But one of those conversations that kind of came up. Now, I kind of wanted to bring it to the table here because I'm in a weirdly talkative mood today for whatever reason. Weirdly talkative mood today. One of the conversations that kind of came up is Caitlin Clark, basketball player, Iowa. Is she, there's a lot of talk on, certain media platforms that, she was, with her run, her scoring record and all of that. Some were calling her the greatest women's basketball player. And, in the college sense, the greatest college basketball player. And it sparked, some unique responses. Let me see if I can get it prepped up real quick. All right, come on. It's not your first time doing this. All right, yeah. So fair use, fair use. Get it prepped. And here we go.
Right? When the college guys come out, they're waiting for them. I mean, Camilla's coming, Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Not saying that it's not going to translate, because when you're great at what you do, you're just going to get better. But there is going to be a transition period where you're going to have to give yourself some grace as a rookie, and it might take a little bit longer for some people.
Right on. That's perfect, right? When the college guys come out.
And for those who don't know who that was on the screen, too bad the WNBA sucks. Hey, it is what it is, Spot. It is what it is. How you doing, Keep? Good you can catch the show. But it brings up a very interesting discussion, and it kind of sparked off from there on a lot of social media platforms, especially sports talk people. Is Caitlin Clark the greatest women's college basketball player? And not to be a prisoner of the moment, and that's what you often see in the world of sports when we're commenting and we're heaping praise on players for their achievements and their accomplishments. You don't want to be stuck in the heat of the moment. But when that question was brought up in a forum that I was participating in, I was like, nah. And when I'm just going to keep it at the college basketball as far as your achievements. And I'm not grading the women on a different kind of curve that I would grade the men. First and foremost, Caitlin Clark did not win a championship while in college. and that's not a fault of her own. You came up against some very, 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 very good women's teams. Especially we're talking about South Carolina. It's not every year that the team finishes undefeated. You came up against some very, very good teams. When we're talking about um, you know losing last year against LSU, it's no fault of her own, and this is not a knock on anyone who doesn't win a championship on a collegiate level. It doesn't take away from your greatness, but I think you have to, in all honesty, um, be penalized. Wait, you have to be kind of penalized on when we're talking about having the greatest, when we're talking about the greatest of college basketball. Yes, having the scoring record um, looks good. It's a nice feather in your cap. It gives you it gives you a seat at the table to be in the discussion, but to think that it all ends and begins with you, and then, a lot of the people that was heaping the praise on her, and she's the greatest, she's the greatest, she's the greatest. Look at the record, and it was a bit of being in the moment, being in the moment for those who didn't get a chance to watch either the men's or the women's game. Like I said, and I'm gonna talk about the men's game in just a second. But the women's, what they accomplished this year, as far as the rise in popularity, the rise in numbers, um, the women's um, the women's game, women's Final Four was had more viewers than the men's, and that we'll talk about the men after a while. But a part of that you can attribute to Caitlin Clark, but that does not give you that, I mean, it gives you a seat at the table. I mean, you had a awesome career, very great career. That's not to downplay it, but when I think of greatest, and this is going to keep it at the college basketball level. Um, what was this? Oh, I used to have visitors over here. Hold on. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Okay, but yeah, kind of threw me off. When I was like, let me get to my finish my monologue. You kind of threw me off. And used to have people up here. Um, when I think of greatest college basketball players, I think of Shamika Holdsclaw. I think of Diana Taurasi, Breonna Stewart, Candace.
What about Candace Parker?
Yeah, Candace Parker is in the conversation.
Yeah.
You can make Brittany Griner. You can make a argument for her. Sue Bird. You can make an argument for her. Like I said, Caitlin Clark. You could be thrown around in the conversation, but I wouldn't. Put her ahead of any of those players when we're talking about the greatest at the college basketball level. At the college basketball level, and what you heard from Donna Taurasi, in relation to her transition to presumed number one draft pick, um, that college game, that just running up and down and jacking it up and shooting, think you're gonna be lighting folks up in the league. It ain't happening.
Yeah. You know what? What's funny is that if we're gonna call Caitlin Clark the GOAT, shouldn't we call Jimmer Fredette the men's GOAT? Because he had a lot of good scoring, in his day, but then when it got to the pros, he just disappeared.
Yeah. If you're grading along that curve, as far as like, yeah, she's got the scoring record. And this, listen, um, I don't think anybody in their right mind would even have Jimmer Fredette in any kind of greatest of all time. And that just goes to show the kind of impact Caitlin Clark had. Like, when you look at the numbers, you look at the ratings, and it's not just her. I think the women's game, as far as on a collegiate level, to me, as far as like buzzworthy, headline worthy stuff going on, I think they, outdid the men this year. Outdid the men to where, we're having conversations coming out of, that game with who's the greatest and all of that. And no one's really talking about,
But,
UConn and
but,
Purdue and that kind of like, oh, whatever.
but to be fair, the reason why there was more attention on the women's was because of the behind the scenes drama.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, controversy sells. So,
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, there's no real personalities on the men's side, so they're going to gravitate to the women's side.
well, yeah, the personalities, but you with the college game this year, especially with the women, you're talking about they had more built-in storylines. Um,
Yeah.
Like it was no one's I can't find a person that can name me the starting five for the Yukon Huskies on the men's side, but you knew who Angel Reese was. You knew who Dawn Staley in South Carolina was. You knew who Caitlin Clark was. I mean, it's just the storylines built themselves, and like they just those personalities happen to make very deep runs. Um, into the season have they're just more noteworthy. Now, does it do I think that translate next year with those players gone? No. um you just got like for the women's game. I think that was like the perfect mix of stuff when we're talking about the talent of those players, but then you also talk about the racial component of it also. White America got behind Caitlin Clark in Iowa more so than I've seen them get behind any other women's college basketball team. You know, you have to kind of account for that. Also, you got LSU, and in their minds, those were the gangster girls. Then you talking about Dawn Staley, when she's got in and out. That's not an accurate depiction of those teams, but for the media to sell, and then you saw it with the ratings this year. It's it was a perfect storm, for them this year. I don't think it translates going forward because you don't have those built-in storylines next year.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I was telling people that were saying that, oh, there, it's going to be increased eyes, but it's only momentarily because, again, those eyes are there because of the personalities that are involved. Like, there's very vibrant, like Angel Reese is a very vibrant person, Flage,
mm-hmm.
um, Kaylin, and others. Like, who's going to be the next one of them to come up and continue that, that focus? I don't see it happening.
No, I don't either. And that's why I said this women's tournament was you can't script it any better. If you were going to take those personalities and like we're going to write the perfect script to draw as many eyes as I mean, LSU versus Iowa was must see TV, and you had the casual fan rooting, and a lot of it was based along racial lines. Let's keep it a buck. Um, a lot of them, tuned into that game, and then tuned in, to see can Caitlin Clark overcome South. I mean, those built-in storylines. You just, I mean, those are perfect storms, man. You can't duplicate them on a year-to-year basis. Now, I think the men, I think the men's game to me, is in more trouble than the women's game. I will say that. I think the men's game is in more trouble than the. And when we're talking, I'm just talking about popularity. I think um when you look over to the men's side, it's no personalities. It's no one for the media, the casual fan to gravitate to. It's no particular school or program that just draws in fan. It's just none of these guys are household names.
Yeah, and then you have all the traditional coaches leaving or trading places, and like with John Calipari going to Arkansas, it's just
Well, Kentucky was getting ready to fire him.
oh really?
Yeah.
They were?
Yeah, Kentucky was getting ready to let him go. For what and they won't come out and say it, but they um saved $33 million by him getting hired at Arkansas because that's how much they still owed him on his deals. And Kentucky's one of those programs. You can't keep getting bounced in the first round um of the tournament, and they're paying you top dollar. They're paying you to do what Dan Hurley's doing up in UConn. They paying you to make Final Four appearances. They're paying you for championships. So him going to Arkansas, it's not really a I look at it more of a lateral move. It's not um it's not, it doesn't have the tradition and all that of Kentucky. But yeah, Kentucky was getting ready to get rid of him after the season.
Interesting.
Yeah, he kind of saw. I mean, you listen to his press conference. today that he did, and he was like, I think Kentucky needed needed a new voice. I mean, um, the days of coaches being there 30, 40 years, the Coach K's of the world, that I think that era is gone too. Um, I mean, when you really we're talking about Calipari, Kentucky hasn't done Jack in a long time, but he's a name that he's a
Oh yeah,
personality.
you're right. Yeah, their last Final Four was I think 8 years ago
Yeah, he
or
has
9 years ago.
not when you consider one of the goats of that sport, and like nah, you you got to produce. But yeah, Kentucky was getting ready to move on from him. Kentucky was getting ready to move on from him, and kudos to coaches. They can just pivot into $1 million jobs like it ain't nothing. Um, I think it's going to take him a while to kind of build up Arkansas to that level, but it's not like Arkansas is that far off. I mean, you're in the SEC, so you have access to resources and that kind of stuff. So I think you're already kind of seeing a couple guys try to hit the transfer portal. Um, with news of him leaving, so I think he'll be able to he'll be fine. I don't, but I think like I said, the men's game is in more trouble because um with the NBA reconsidering, I don't think they've actually made it official. They're considering getting rid of the one and done standard, um, and just at this point, hey, guys want to go pro and go pro, which I thought was stupid anyway. Put something like a one and done rule in place because you over time you really just killed college basketball on the men's side.
I don't think they should let kids go to straight from high school. I think they should make them stay at least 2 years in college.
I mean,
Because some of these dudes is getting in there and they just suck.
well, I mean, they're gonna.
I mean, just because they got drafted doesn't mean they're any good.
Well, I mean, but is that a problem that But you gotta, I put blame on these organizations too. You don't have to draft these guys.
Well,
You
then, good
yeah.
point.
At the end of the day, if you think that 18-year-old is not ready to step into the professional setting, you don't have to draft them. But they're going to continue to draft them. I think um what you saw with the championship game, as far as Purdue versus UConn, you got guys that's been there 2 or 3 years, but these guys are not household names. I think that's what college basketball used to be, and it's going to take them a while to kind of get back and build up that notoriety they used to have when you followed the team, because the team had stars that had been there 2 to 3 years. You really. I want to say, I don't want to blame like the Kevin Garnett's of the world, but I look at Carmelo. Comes in, wins a championship, I'm out.
Yeah.
I think they kind of ruin it as far the game is still going to be the game, but Carmelo was a household name, came in freshman, awesome year, won a championship. I'm out. See you guys.
That reminds me of the Duke teams, like when right before. Remember when Josh McRoberts left early after his sophomore year?
Yeah.
He was like the first one to leave early in decades at Duke.
Yeah, Duke
Like it
guys.
used to be tradition for them to stay and graduate.
I think Jay Will. I think Jay Williams left. Jason, well, I can call him Jay Will because he's just TV day. But Jason Williams, I think he left junior year, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure he graduated. I'm not sure.
He might have graduated, but I think he only played 3 years. Let me look real quick. I don't want to be. I want to be sure when I make. I want to say he left as a junior.
But that's when I noticed that Duke started going down the drain a little bit. Was when they started letting their players go early. But then they went back up when they got the Emeka Okafor and
Yeah. But let me see. Yeah, was he only a
no, not Emeka Okafor, Jaleel Okafor. My bad.
no difference. And he only played 99. Did he play all 4 years? I think he did. Well, I guess you're right. I think he did play all 4 years. At college, I could have swore he left after his junior year. No, he did stay. Okay, but but he was he was that different kind of player. Like I said, that era when you had household name players stay at the school, and continue playing. Um, you just don't have that. Now it's going to take college basketball, the men's side, a while to kind of build that back up. I think the women they're going to take a hit on the numbers, next year. But I think their game has always been about the team, and every once in a while you had those generational players, the Breonna Stewarts, the Brittany Grinders, and all that. But their programs have always built on young ladies staying and completing the full ride before they even talk about going. Them declaring early after a freshman year going to the WNBA draft. I don't think anybody's even talked about that, and it's not like they can. But who would take them serious? Just food for thought. Just food for thought.
But I got one quick question for you.
All right.
So, what were your thoughts on people coming down on Angel Reese for crying during her press conference after that Elite Eight game?
You didn't catch. You must have got it. I did commentary on it, but
Oh, you did? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I did commentary on it. I didn't mind the commentary. I just didn't like the timing. And when I say I didn't like the timing of it, I didn't mind. You get emotional. You want to share, that kind of stuff. But for me, it comes across to a degree, like you're a bit of a sore loser. Like I said, I didn't mind the actual commentary. I'm not saying that stuff didn't happen to her, but why you didn't say that after the first round of the tournament or the second round of the tournament or when you get to the Sweet 16, like you're having post game interviews and you have an audience, you have the same kind of stage, but I just for me it kind of took away from it took a little shine off of that game for me. Like I didn't like I said I didn't mind the commentary. I just didn't like the timing of it. I just
That's
didn't.
fair.
Yeah, I just didn't like. Like I'm pretty sure she's gotten death. I mean, because fans is short for fanatic. You got some crazy ass people out here that probably did the stuff, and if she said it happened, I kind of amped to believe it happened because we've seen worse in the world of sports. But I was like in that moment, I think it for me it's like the timing was just off. You know, but that I mean that's kind of how I felt about it. Like it comes across like a bit of a sore lose because you had plenty of opportunities um up until that moment to kind of express that, but just like I didn't like the timing of it. I can respect it because that's what happened, that's how you feel, but I just can't imagine the greats or getting up there giving excuses of what woe, like kind of like a woe is me after the your season is over. Like lose gracefully as you will, and I would say if you win, act gracefully. But I just I can't recall a Kobe Bryant losing in the playoffs, being put out of the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, y'all don't understand, man. I had so much going on at home with with the wife and kids and raising young girls. Like I just you just don't see that from athletes in that particular moment, like right after the game. Now, if she had a sit down interview and express those same things, I think it would have been received better. But I just thought the timing was just wrong. That's all.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, she just lost the Elite Eight, and I think she was thinking of the optics of how embarrassing it looked when you're doing all the taunting that you're known for, and then you still lose.
Yeah,
So maybe that was part of it,
I mean that I'm pretty sure that had to kind of play a part into it. 'Cause like I said, when we're talking about you just didn't lose to anybody. That's you lost to Caitlin Clark, who you beat last year for the champ. Like I said, the storyline itself, um, it wasn't like she lost to. I don't think you would have got the same speech had she lost to South Carolina. I don't think you would if they'd have lost to South Carolina or any other team and determined. I don't think you would have got that same post game speech from Angel. I think when we're talking about Iowa, the racial tension and all of that goes along the storyline that went along with that game. Like I said, I don't think if she lost to Dawn Staley in South Carolina, I don't think we'd have heard a peep of that nature after the game. I don't think she would have been that emotional and said the stuff that she said in that particular moment. Like I said, I don't have a problem with what she said. I just the timing of it was to me was just off. The time was just off there. Like if she lost to South Carolina or another team, would do you really think she would have been saying all of that in that particular moment? I think, she's caught up in the moment or emotional and it revealed it. And like I said, I don't have a problem with what she said, just the timing of it, just like, come on now.
Yeah, it gives the critics, space to, claim that she's playing victim and she's a sore loser and all that stuff.
It comes across when you consider, we've watched other great players and great teams lose. You just don't hear when they get up to the post game podium. Most of the time, you hear like, we could have did this better, we could have executed better. Congratulations to that team for blah 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 blah. I think they did a good job of rebounding defensively. You get that kind of stuff where you kind of like breaking. That's what you typically get from a post game press conference when we're talking about games on that level, that magnitude, with the stakes are that high. I just don't recall seeing, hearing that kind of, stuff at a post game press conference from any of the, players I would consider great or teams I would consider, or just teams, period. I just don't normally hear that. Like I said, the timing was just off. If it had came out in like a Gayle King interview, I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. As far as like critiquing, they'd have been like, okay, we can understand that. You guys had a lot of attention on you. I mean, the situation with her and her academics was a part of their storyline this year. With the games that she missed. Like, I get it. The timing was just poor. The time was just poor.
Well, another great show, bro. I'm gonna tap on out.
All right, appreciate it, man. As always, thanks for coming through. Yeah. Back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. The women's game I think is going to be okay. Now, do I think they're going to be able to recapture that magic next season? I don't think so. I mean, when you have, like I said, there's a perfect storm of a lot of things going on. They kind of boosted them up, and you saw that with the ratings this year. Men's, I think the men are getting back to that. Going to have to get back to that approach of trying to market programs and teams a lot more than they had in years past. With the one and done and guys not staying. You look at Purdue, a program had guys stay. You look at UConn, a program that had guys stay. I think if they're trying to market their game and get those viewership numbers back to where they were back in like the 80s, the 90s, and early 2000s, I think you're going to have to start marketing teams and programs a lot more. It's just not, star power in the men's college basketball side is just not there because the guys that could have been household names, they're playing in the league right now. Sorry, not sorry. It's the truth. It's the truth. A little bit of housekeeping. Gator girl, how you doing? It's always a pleasure. A little bit of housekeeping. We'll be back on Thursday. I'm thinking of doing a show. What time is it? 9:46. Thinking of doing a show in about 30 minutes. In the other space, different kind of a show. I want to, kind of talk about some. You up late, Grandpa? Always with the jokes, but yeah, we'll be back. We're doing a show Yes, keeper. Yes. Yeah. Let me go ahead and get ready for that. It's gonna be a difficult show. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be the typical fuckery, but I do want to address a couple of things. It's not gonna be too long of a show. I hope not. I hope not. I hope not, but we'll see. But as always, man, appreciate y'all taking the time out to listen to little old me get a girl. You got to catch the replay. You got to catch the replay. Like I said, we will be back on Thursday. We will start to really focus in on the NBA playoffs, which is starts next week with the play-in tournament. Since we got all the teams finalized, we got to get the final seeds, especially out there in the Western Conference, on who ends up where. There's still a lot of moving pieces as far as that, especially when we're talking about from the 6 to 10. Well, we'll talk about that on Thursday. As always, and you're off with the phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win. Excuse me, throwback, man. It's been a long weekend. Sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.
Loving you is all